Yemen have attacked more ships in the Gulf of Aden. And remember, their blockade reaches all the way now to the Indian Ocean. So, first of all, they attacked 2 Israeli-linked ships, one named the MSC Darwin and the other named MSC Gina. Then they also attacked 2 American ships, one of them a frigate in the US Navy, and the other a commercial ship named the Maersk Yorktown. And I'll play you the Yemeni spokesperson, Yahya Sarir, confirming the names of the ships.
استهداف سفينتين إسرائيليتين.
Right, so they hit 2 ships, 2 Israeli ships.
أولى سفينة MSC داروين والأخرى سفينة MSC جينا والتي تم استهدافها مجددا وذلك في خليج عدن.
So that's in the Gulf of Aden. And the interesting thing is that if you were paying attention to my last video, this is the second time that they've hit MSC Gina, right? It's the second time that they've hit this ship.
استهداف سفينة ميرسك يورك تاون الأمريكية وذلك في خليج عدن. استهداف سفينة حربية أمريكية في خليج عدن بعدد من الطائرات المسيرة وقد تم استهداف.
Right, so they hit the US destroyer with a volley of drones in the Gulf of Aden.
السفن بعدد من الصواريخ البحرية المناسبة والطائرات المسيرة.
So both anti-ship ballistic missiles and the drones.
إن القوات المسلحة اليمنية مستمرة في تأدية واجبها الديني والأخلاقي والإنساني تجاه الشعب الفلسطيني المظلوم.
This is in accordance with the Yemenis' obligation towards the Palestinians, both as, you know, Arabs, as Muslims, as human beings, right? It's a humanitarian obligation to target these ships. And again, Article 1, Genocide Convention, very clear. It doesn't say you should punish and prevent genocide by, you know, waving white flags or wearing pink t-shirts. It says you got to punish and prevent genocide. How you do that is up to you. UKMTO, which is the, I've no doubt it's run by spooks. I've no doubt. But nevertheless, they acknowledged and registered the hits. They didn't reveal the names of the ships because if you're registering the events and then publishing the names of the ships, they do, of course, sometimes. But in this case, we only found out through Yemen. If UKMTO were to do that, it's a propaganda win. You know, it's a propaganda win for the resistance and a very bad look for the Israelis. So they only said that there was a security event in the Gulf of Aden, nothing more. And then we had, of course, Mr. Yahya Sarir on the job to tell us what happened. So that's hit number 1 from the Red Triangle Record Company. Let me go over to hit number 2 today. Remember that the Israelis, as I said, they love to change the subject and play smoke and mirrors. So the Israeli-linked ships don't necessarily have to have an Israeli flag. That's not the point. You know, if it were only Israeli-flagged ships going across the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait, well, there wouldn't be that many of them. The Israelis bring in food and supplies with all sorts of ships with various flags from around the world. So the flag is irrelevant. I don't care what the name of the flag is. I'm just giving you the info. So the Yemenis went and hit these in the Red Sea, in the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait, and as you all know, their siege, their blockade has extended all the way now into the Indian Ocean, which is, I mean, it's an unbelievable feat. It's an unbelievable feat. This is just a video, one of their drones taking off. So these drones that they fire, they'll usually fire them at the destroyers, and they also use the anti-ship ballistic missiles, of course, because when you fire one of those, you're trying to do two things. One with the drones is to overwhelm the military ships. It's very difficult to shoot these things down. They're tiny, and even if you do shoot them down with whatever missiles you have on board, it's an economic hit that you take. So theoretically, Yemen could fire 50 drones, and it would cost them nothing, but it would bleed. It really bleeds the ships of their arsenals, and of course then the country of its money, because the missiles are so expensive. So it's such an effective tool, the drone. It's so light, easy to build, cheap, and gets the job done. And then of course, when it comes to the anti-ship ballistic missiles, I mean, more specifically those, that one is something, it's more of a Yemeni innovation. Now you'll have the Americans saying, oh, well, they actually invented it and they tested it like 20 years ago. I don't care. Who's actually using this for the first time in this method? It's the Yemenis. You have to give them credit for that. If it's the Yemenis, it's not only them, it's the Iranians. The Iranians have made enormous advances and innovations with missile technology. They've beaten the Americans and the Israelis at their own game, so to speak, right? Because they've always been afraid of someone else catching up to them. And it's not just catching up, they're exceeding, they excel at missile technology. They truly do. And that's the only reason that the resistance are able to fend off all of these American and Israeli vessels, and not just military ones, but of course the commercial ones then become an even easier and lighter challenge once you've dealt with the military ones. So these escorts, because they, after all, the only purpose of these ships, and this should give you food for thought. Why is there an American destroyer in the Red Sea? It's not just one, it's a fleet. But for example, this Yorktown, why was it with an American destroyer? It goes to show you it's all about the economy. The Americans are sending ships to the other side of the planet to safeguard their economic interests. So it's all about imperialism. It's all about colonialism. It's got nothing to do with anything else. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a scam artist, a clown, an idiot. It's about imperialism. You don't send a destroyer, you don't send a fleet of ships to the other side of the planet for, just for fun, for a boat ride. Okay? You shouldn't do that. I'm not saying you should do that, but if you do that, it exposes your interests and your motives. And so I'll play you this clip, and it's from yesterday, and it's the Yemenis doing the Eid prayers for Ramadan on top of the Galaxy Leader, which is the name of the ship that they procured, shall we put it, during that they captured, of course, during the start of the naval blockade. And they put out this footage. Just take a look. I'm just going to mute it for copyright, but isn't that something? Isn't that something? People were laughing 6 months ago when they thought the Yemenis are going to get into the fight. They said, what leg do the Yemenis have to stand on? With what army? And then you had all these ridiculous memes online about, oh my God, America is going to send a bunch of ships. Well, they're not laughing now, are they? They're not so smart now, are they? They don't look too bright now, do they?
نقول للشعب الفلسطيني الشعب اليمني إلى جانبكم دائما.
نقول لإخواننا في غزة لستم وحدكم الشعب اليمني إلى جانبكم حتى النصر.
One people. All right, that's what they're saying. And you saw he's lost his arm in battle. I just thought to add that to what we already said about Yemen. Right? They're really the best people. They're the best people.